All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville by way of Maurice Scott. Initially I was going to sit this one out, but then I received a DM from a lovely, lovely content creator, one that I've come to really enjoy their content. And they were like, "Hey, Queen Sheba, what are your thoughts on this?" And that prompted me to give it a bit of thought. And then I said, you know what? Here's what I think. So that's what I'm going to share. Today, we're going to talk Maurice Scott. We're going to talk about Maurice Scott threatening or insinuating that the blogger, whomever he's talking about, has 10 days to issue a public apology and retract their their overview of court documents, or there may be legal action. I want to talk about it. I have my thoughts on this. Maurice, you know what? Let me ask y'all. Y'all think Maurice trying to come up with a storyline for next season? Let's talk about it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Recently, Maurice Scott issued, in my opinion, what I feel to be a blind passive-aggressive warning to an unnamed blogger regarding the blogger's reporting on his follow me very closely, on his questionable history and questionable profile with the criminal justice system. Now, before I jump in, I got a couple of questions for you, Maurice. I heard you verbatim say you've never been arrested. Never been arrested. My question to you, this has nothing to do with the document, because we talk about polarized statements on this channel. When you say you've never been arrested, does that mean there's no trace of an arrest record? Has it been expunged, or have you never ever in your life been arrested? So of course there will be no documentation of an arrest. See, that's two separate things. Is there, or has there ever been a time that you've been arrested and you were able to get the arrest expunged from your record? I just want to make sure you're not playing word games with this, Maurice, because that's what you Scott boys tend to like and want to do when it comes down to technicalities. Now, I will say, as a content creator, there is absolutely no harm in removing or retracting anything once you discover an error has been made. I want to do positive before negative. Follow me very closely. I've made a mistake before, and I went back to my video. Let me tell you what you can do, content creator, if you want to do it. Not even saying you have to, but let me just tell you, it's chess, not checkers. I made the video private. I did the necessary edits, and I released the video again. Boom, there you go. So there's ways you could do this kind of stuff, but I'm just throwing out some gems there just in case. So that's all I have on that when it comes to the content creator, whomever he's talking about, right? If you choose to, that's up to you, completely up to you. But Maurice, we're about to get into you. I want to talk to you a little bit, Maurice. Are y'all ready? And I want to know your thoughts. I want this to be a very interactive conversation in the chat as I go through my thoughts. So in Maurice's statement, what he did is he did a video, y'all, and he kind of talked about some things, and he gets down to the point of addressing his issue with an unnamed blogger, right? See, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but how can you issue a threat and not name the recipient of the ask? That in and of itself is kind of informal, right? It's a very informal approach to take. So you really can't cry harm and or foul toward that blogger if you didn't name that blogger publicly. But let me back up a little bit. So he does this video and he comes out talking about after he spoke with Carlos King, name dropping. He's giving the person 10 days to retract and make a public apology. Here's my thing. You ain't named no names. Again, I keep repeating my name. Myself, sir, you have not named any names. Maurice, if you truly about that life legally, then put a name on it. Then on top of that, you got the nerve to ask for a public apology. Sir, that's a bit far, in my opinion. And it's giving me and Kimmy are desperate for a storyline. We need a storyline. And I think Maurice is needing something to talk about on the show. And I feel like he's attempting to use the bloggers as his primary focus. Because you and Kimmy keep talking about stupid shit, in my opinion. Stuff that at Kimmy's age, she should already know. You've been married before. You know the ebb and the flow of a marriage and all of this, do this in a wife's place. Child, don't nobody want to hear that from no grown ass, 2-time married ass man and a 50-something-year-old woman. If y'all don't got it down pat by now, baby, we can't help you. Please do not let that be your storyline. It's very low vibrational. Y'all done wore that storyline out about the roles of a husband and a wife and help me sweep the house and fluff the pillows and all of this. Who gonna wash the dishes? Come on now. Y'all done wore that damn sex storyline out. And I think you need some new material, right? I feel like he's attempting to utilize the bloggers as his focus. Because my question to you is, what damages have you incurred that bruise your reputation from what that blogger shared? And I still don't know who he's talking about. What damages have you incurred based on a blogger's review of a court document that has a similar name to yours? Black Titanic ate his ass up when she detailed a description and she documented the history of Maurice bringing up his sexual obsessions and his demanding behaviors and his desires to have sex on the television screen. Black Titanic ripped you a new one because she took your words that you brought to our television screen and she said that in and of itself is damaging. And you know what? I got to ride with her. She ate you up. And you know what I laughed so hard when I listened to Empress Radio play Black Titanic's dialogue. Boy, I was in my house. I was having a glass of wine, baby. I was a kicking and a laughing. I said, let me tell you something. You're out of your league, Maurice Scott. Black Titanic may be a senior, but baby, she is sharp. She ate you the fuck up. You got to give it to her. And just on GP, based on how she read you for filth, go ahead and close that down, boy. If I was you, I would tuck my tail and I would walk away. I wouldn't demand an apology at all. Listen, Black Titanic, girl, you sharp because you named it off one by one. Just like Jesus did, y'all, with the Pharisees when they came asking him to stone a woman to death, the woman that had been accused of committing adultery. But what they did not do is they didn't bring the man when the law applied to both the men and the woman. You know, the law back then is if you're caught in adultery, both parties should be stoned to death, but they only brought the woman. Maurice, let me break it down for you. You're talking about the harm that the blogger could do or potentially do to you, but you fail to assess the harm that you've already done to your own reputation. Now, when I say she read you for filth, what what Black Titanic did is she took her stick, honey, just like Jesus did, and she wrote in the ground. And she called out your violations one by one. She started with your lack of emotional intelligence and your lack of empathy when it comes to cancer patients. And she particularly honed in on your wife because you went on record, Maurice, and she used your words against you and she brought it back to your memory. And she recalled your statements of you describing your wife suffering through it, meaning sex, just to please you. Number two, see, Maurice, when you start using words on the big screen, that big old television screen, like suffering through it, it's giving me the appearance of persuasion or persuading a woman to go against her will in a moment. Now, we just talking hypothetically, right? from observations. Now, I can talk hypothetically, and I'm giving you what I perceive from your words, what you've gone on statement to talk about, right? So when you start using shit like suffered through it,
not a person who wants sex. Now, at times I want it, but I actually need it. So life throws us curveballs like what we're going through right now. And what Kimmy is doing is admirable as a spouse. To roll over and suffer through it, I was hoping it wouldn't be as suffering.
it's given me the appearance that a woman really didn't want to do something and you coached her. Not even coached. You, I don't know, it's like you pressured her into doing something, right? Now, my commentary today is solely based on your choice of words. Let me make that very clear because I know you like to get up and play lawyer sometimes. So I just want to make it very clear. So when you comb through this commentary, you have a clear understanding of where I'm coming from. I'm utilizing your words and I'm peeling them back and giving my assessment of what that meant to me. Okay? But look, I want to refer to some of your words that you use in your interview with Carlos King. And what the way you were talking, it opened up the opportunity for me to look at it from a woman's right to her own body. And when men start saying shit like suffered, be careful, Maurice, because it's giving Diddy. It's giving Aaron Hall. It's giving Bad Boy Entertainment. Yeah, that's exactly what it's giving based on how you were speaking and referring to how much you need sex and how she suffered through it to please you.
You like to have sex, if not every day, multiple times a day. Last season, you got red for foot, my brother, because of not getting banged every day, right? Like, you want to have sex every day. Suffer through it, fakes it, all for me. Because at that moment, it's something that she completely didn't desire, right? And I kind of look at it as if, and this is, all jokes aside, I look at it as her standing by me while I'm standing by her.
The third thing that I feel like Black Titanic was able to do is do some comparative analysis because you're the same guy who's claiming that the reading of a court document can be very dangerous to folks involved. But you did a freak off, according to you, Maurice, under your own admission of guilt or participation on the big screen again, since you're talking about your reputation. You admitted that you had a freak off with 6 women in one day. Can that not be equally damaging and harmful to your career as an attorney? Going on record on a reality show with a big network like that of a own and then and talk about how freaky you were with 6 women? Do you not feel like that can be extremely damaging? Can that not hurt your business? I mean, maybe I listen, y'all help me out. Y'all help me out. I'm curious because if the blogger reported what he or she believed to be your court documents in good faith, then there is no harm or foul in that. Unless you can prove that they were purposely misleading the audience. If they were of the belief that this was you and they did not, like I said, they did not intend to mislead their audience, and you did not call out a name specifically and ask them to take it down. So until you do, it's not relevant to them. And nobody else, because don't nobody know who you're talking about. Don't nobody know what you're talking about, freak Nick. I'm still baffled at how you, Maurice, how you think that a court document could be more damaging to your reputation than you admitting to those freak offs with all those women in one day. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hell, as a law firm, I'd be more hesitant to do business with you due to your uncontrollable desire for sex than anything else, right? Because I wouldn't want to put my female employees at risk by hiring or retaining an attorney of your caliber, an attorney that has an insatiable desire for sex that it has become uncontrollable. Because according to you, in your interview, and I just want to call that to the record, with Carlos King, you said you have to have it. That's like needing air to breathe. You said you have to have sex. Now, that came out of your mouth. And if I were a client or a law firm that were potentially considering taking you on, the first thing that would come to my mind is what happens if his wife isn't able to get him off? What happens if she's sick or she's not feeling good? Now, this man said that he has to have sex. There is no other alternative. You know what? I don't want to do business with him. I don't want my female employees caught up in a big old jam by a big old freak. No sirree, Bob. So Maurice Martin Luther King Jr., you owe yourself an apology. That blogger don't owe you shit. Sir, you owe yourself an apology. And until you can get some dick discipline in your life, your reputation will always be on the line. You did that, not those bloggers. And Kimmy, get your husband. Because this is the kind of stuff that you should be asking him to consider before he goes on public record trying to threaten folks. Child, don't let Maurice use y'all for a storyline. In my opinion, that's all he's trying to do. Maurice is just scraping and scrambling. Scraping and scrambling. If you don't know what that means, honey, do your research.